For a long time now, we've been ragging on millennials and zoomers as slackers and losers. But the truth is, they are our only hope for the future. That's right, they are our only hope. Let me unpack that. See, right now we see society decaying all around us. And when boomers were growing up, they had an easy childhood and they had easy jobs all along the way. And then came the Gen Xers, and we were at the tail end of that boom. And as we came in adulthood, we started seeing cracks in the matrix. And now the reality is, as the boomers, as they're growing up and as they mature, they were at the peaks. And now we're in the dark valleys of reality for the millennials and zoomers. And it's not an easy time for them. So it's ironic for me that we call the millennials and zoomers the slacker generation and the avocado toast and the participation trophy kids, because they grew up in the world that we built for them. So how can we blame them for being who they are? I mean, that's just the reality. And we have to actually take a look in the mirror at ourselves, because we made them this way. And I think that across all generations that we've seen the reality of the matrix kind of being exposed around us. We see the rotting and the hollowing out of institutions in politics and media and entertainment and education for sure. And also, sadly for me, in the church. I believe that the millennials and the zoomers, this next generation, are absolutely the core foundation and the hope for how we create a better future. So imagine going on a sailboating trip and the boomers hop on first. And as they hop on, the water's calm, the wind's at their back, and they see a landmark in the distance. They say, let's go for that. And it's smooth sailing. They stop off at exotic locations, they have fun, and life is good. And then at one of the stops, they pick up the Gen Xers. And as they start sailing, the water's still calm, but they're starting to get some headwinds, and that's not enough to slow things down. But then the boat starts running into currents and starts rocking, taking in some water. And at the end of that trip, there's a big storm, and they need to actually stop in for repairs. But the boomers, they're fine, because along the way of these stops, they've got their lifeboats and they picked up extra supplies. So they're good to go. And after they make the repairs, they pick up the millennials and zoomers. And now the storm's coming. The clouds are dark. The boat's rocking. The sail's torn. And the boat's limping along. And as the millennials and zoomers reach the island, that landmark that the boomers set out for them, they hit coral reefs. They run aground. And that is the reality that the millennials and zoomers are facing. It's brutal, isn't it? So let's hear from one of them. This lady was actually responding to somebody who was chastising them for not having the right thinking. So she shares, at the root, the problem is that my generation, the millennials, and the zoomers are left holding the bag. Our legacy, left by the decisions of millions of people in the United States over the last 60 years, is a complete collapse of moral standards, principles, and Christian beliefs. Everyone's in debt, from the governments both local and national to the individual. And what frustrates the majority of us that don't have 401ks or savings or a house or jobs or decent wages is that even if we have jobs, it's that billions of dollars get sent to multiple countries over decades without any oversight or end in sight. That's truer than you think. And personally, I'm sick of my tax dollars and all the debt we get hoisted on us just to service Israel, Ukraine, and whoever else is sucking at the government teat. I'm sick of hearing about Ukraine and Israel. Aren't we all? If they want to fight for their freedoms, then they should pay for it with their own money, weapons, sweat, and blood, which unfortunately they are. When we no longer have millions of Americans drugged, badly fed, housed, or employed or underemployed, then maybe we can spare some charity to other nations. But until then, I don't want to hear about billions of dollars and weapons being sent elsewhere. That's what people in your generation don't understand. And he's talking to boomers and Gen Xers. You all are not living in our reality. Our reality sucks. And being called an anti-Semite or xenophobe or anti-Christian or irredeemable isn't going to make anyone amenable to want to continue to support Israel or anyone else that isn't a U.S. citizen in 2025. We have billionaires that have financialized the entire economy of the United States. Most people are being gouged left and right by credit cards and school loans. Companies get squeezed, sold, and bankrupted on the daily. I could go on and on. If these problems get addressed, then right-wing extremists don't get to rile up the miserable ones in the U.S. And that is true that you know. No one cares about the Jews. They care about their ability to buy groceries at the supermarket, their bank accounts, and the ugly blight we have to see every day. People care about the complete lack of concern and care for we, the people, from the millionaire and billionaire class to the politicians and the bien pensant class. That's a pretty heavy indictment, isn't it? And I will just share my own frustrations, especially from a faith angle in terms of the institutions. I've been faithful and involved with church since 1992. I've been involved with several church plants, small group ministry, prayer ministry, and all sorts of stuff. And this past few decades, we've seen the church get too political. And you see even online, they get too doctrinally pure and they're like arguing over stuff that, in my mind, it doesn't make a difference. It's just navel gazing. And I'm guilty, I'm part of it too. We get too focused on entertainment, performative, seeker sensitive, and being nice and soft and friendly so that people can find us relevant. And instead, we oversee and we overlook the building of true, authentic, and strong communities of faith. And during this time, and oh boy, I've been burned many times by power, by politics, by control, by legalism, by money, and I'm sure many of you have as well. But the truth is, here we all are. We're all still faithful because we're able to separate God and true religion from the way people live it out. Some of us better than others, but regardless, we still have this tie and connection to the faith. And I have come to see that the institution of church, the way it's been done, is also decaying, and there needs to be a new expression of it, which is what I'm part of. So in the dark clouds of not just the church, but in all institutions, I see a silver lining. And this is why I truly believe that, and I'm always an optimist, and I always hope for the future, but I do believe that the millennials and the zoomers are the best hope for the future. And I'm not crazy when I say this. I absolutely believe that. But it depends on how they see the brutal reality around them and how they respond to that. So the sailboat, here you are, millennials and zoomers, and some Gen Xers also who are stressed out too. And we're on a damaged boat limping along, headed for the reef. And people are calling you slackers, and people are calling you like losers and weak people. But here's why you are our hope for the future, because you didn't get the smooth sailing, you didn't get the lifeboats. I mean, we didn't either. And you didn't get to build wealth and security in easy mode. And because of that, during the hard times, that's when your character and your faith and your whole self gets tested, and you get refined. And now you really have to choose how you want to face the adversity that is around us and is growing. So I want you to reframe the current chaos, and instead of seeing it as despair, maybe you can see it, and I want you to see this as a crucible, this crucible of testing, because you didn't choose it, but I believe that God did. God has given everybody in different generations their own ways of testing. I believe that this is your crucible. The boomers had faith and prosperity, and they built all these institutions. The Gen Xers had faith, and we had cynicism. But now you, as a millennials and zoomers, and if you see it this way, you get this great opportunity to create a faith that is forged in fire that can be stronger than the previous generations. I mean, I will say your 20s and 30s, these should be the best years of your life, building a family, community, and a hope for the future. But you have been given the hard task. You have been given the hard task of creating a new and better world. It's not fair, is it? And it isn't fair. I mean, I would not wish this on anybody, but it's reality. And the only thing we can do with reality is face it head on. And I believe that this is your generation's assignment. We are faced with collapse of institutions all around us. And we're not done yet. More will come. We can see that. And I'm sure you can all see that around us as well. And I believe that now is the time to prepare and to be ready. And that's why I believe that you are our only hope. Not because you've had it easier, because you've had it hard. So you have to develop this hard-headed, practical reality and be able to deal with it. And I say this as a Gen Xer who's in the struggle with you, because not all of us got the lifeboats either. So we're kind of in this boat together. Us maybe a couple decades ahead of you, but we're here with you. And I'm telling you now, this faith that you have, and for those of you who are believers, this faith that you have, even if it's wobbly, even if it's just hanging by a thin thread, don't give it up. Because I know for sure after my experiences that after everything is washed away or burned away, this faith in Christianity and the God of the Bible is a sure foundation. And this sure foundation is what will be the basis for your future life. And if you keep at it, if you work at it, God is here and God is with you. And I think that honestly, it will be a stronger faith than what previous generations have had, because you've had to actually have it tested every day. And this strong faith, I believe, if you multiply it throughout your generations and all of you believing and working and striving together, will be a foundation, not just for the church, but be a hope for society in the coming generations. And I think that if you think back to the last greatest generation, I believe that you can be the next greatest generation. And now it's your turn.